Hello and welcome back to another video. I am Ramona and today's topic is going to be, have you ever had a dream that came true in reality? I've had multiple dreams like this too recently, likely small matters, like being hired into a new job, and just like 2 weeks after that specific dream job, I got passed to a final interview and on my way to the job interview, but there was something bothering me that though like out of 5 or 4 dreams out of them came true already. And the last is that on my dream, I was talking to some old lady and she told me, you'll never reach 29 before you die. I'm 21 at the moment, turning 22 this year. What are your thoughts? I mean, the thought of dying doesn't scare me, but the thought of how does. I was way younger. This was the start of 3rd grade, and was a soft-hearted and kind kid. Never really told people about this, yet I come from Mexico, and in 3rd grade there was a single teacher that spoke Spanish. She was one of the only ones who actually tried and helped me with my English. Yet one day, short after the start of the year, probably 2 to 4 months, I had a dream that she left the school. Turns out on Monday she wasn't there. I quickly realized that she had quit on the weekend, probably around the same time that I got my dream. It still sends me chills and gives me goosebumps whenever I remember. So when I was 16 or 17, I started meditating and praying a lot, spending a lot of time by myself. The type of meditation I was doing was my own. I was never taught how to meditate. Basically, I practiced radical acceptance of everything just as it was. I thought about how everything in the world all worked together and each person and every little event was to be accepted and there was a purpose. See, I was really into Christianity back then and had attended Bill Gothard's Basic Life Principles seminars. I just kind of started praying a certain way and concentrating on how things were and not having any reaction to it. I focused on how every little thing was exactly how it was supposed to be, and I needed to accept it and learn from it. I started having special dreams along my normal dreams. I'd get these special dreams maybe once a week or so. I always knew that they were different as soon as I woke up and remembered them. The dream would come true, sometimes the next day, and sometimes it would take a few days. One time it took over a year. Another thing, the dreams wouldn't match what happened 100%. They would match about 90%. I started writing them down so that when they came true, I would look back at my notebook. I have no idea what the meaning of my dreams coming true was. Only one seemed to have any importance. Someone had a baby that had died. So here is an example of one of my special dreams. I was in 9th grade and dreamed that the new girl in school came and spent the night with me. We weren't even friends. When she was at my house, she asked to borrow my knitted olive green sweater. When we went to bed, we were in a bunk bed. I didn't have a bunk bed. We were looking at tennis magazines while going to bed, and I saw a huge photo of Pete Sampras that took up the entire 2 pages, and I screamed in excitement and showed her. He was my crush, and there were never that big photos of him. Well, the next day the girl and I talked. By the end of the day, she asked me if I wanted to have a sleepover at my house. I said yes, and she came home with me after school. She asked if she could borrow some clothes, and I was nervous because she was very overweight, and I didn't think I had anything that would fit her. I told her to go find something in my closet. She picked out the olive green sweater. Then it was time for bed. We got into my queen bed, and I was there looking at my magazines. I was excited to look at the new tennis magazine that had just come in the mail and that day. As I was flipping through, I turned the page and screamed as I saw a huge photo of Pete Sampras with a milk mustache, an advertisement. I showed my friend just like I did in my dream. The next morning we got up and got ready for school. I didn't think she'd fit in my sweater, but when she came out of the bathroom wearing it, it hit me. I realized that I had dreamed all of this. I actually had written it down, so I was able to show my friend. So the differences were that there was no bunk bed, and the photo looked just a bit different. No milk mustache, but otherwise very similar. I also had a dream once where my school took a field trip and went tubing down a river. My crush at school talked to me in my dream. There was a donkey on one of the rafts. It was a bizarre dream, really. I got that feeling that it was a special dream, so I wrote it down in detail. Well, I found out that we were going on a field trip soon, and they decided on tubing. The day we went, my crush was talking to me more than ever before. When we got to the end of the ride, where we would get out and return tubes, there was a pen right there with 2 donkeys were kept. We all went to see the donkeys. My school had never gone on a tubing trip before, and I had never been there with my family or anything before. There are a few more things that happened, but I can't remember. Anyhow, these are just a couple. I had dozens over the course of a year or two, and every single time I'd get that feeling. I always knew they were going to come true. I wanted to ask my teacher at my Christian school if she believed in God, giving us dreams to predict the future or communicate with us, but I was so shy. I wrote her a letter and handed it to her in school one day. Her reply was so disappointing to me. She just said no. I never brought it up to adults again. I just asked my parents for dream books. My dad bought me some for Christmas, and I loved them, but my mom looked at them and thought they were evil, demonic, New Age, and she got rid of them. I wanted to see if this would have happened again. I would need to dedicate a lot of time to meditating and praying, a lot of time to myself. I spent hours daily when I was 16 or 17. I am no longer a Christian, but I still think there is something supernatural, or maybe it's natural, but we don't understand it or how to harness it. Oh, and during the time I was also very good at guessing what time it was before looking at the clock. I would get in on the minute every time. This is what I remember at least. I would play a game with a deck of cards where I'd guess the card before the other person would flip it over. I was so good at it. I couldn't get every single one, but more than half, which is insane. I would get such shocked reactions from my friends. They'd try and not get a single card. I'm a very empathetic person, very passive. I daydream often. I'm a Pisces. I've always felt very intuitive. I know humans can get confused and think things that aren't true because they are looking for it, things like that, but I can't help but believe that there is something really going on back then. I don't know at what point it was or how it happened, but I feel certain it did, and I'm not one to believe in ghosts or anything. I want to try this again, now at age 45, because now I want to win the lottery. Oh, I used to have people think of a number and try to guess it, and I'm telling you, I got it right maybe 75% of the time or more. Not just between 1 and 10, it was 1 through 100. My friends loved doing this with me because their jaws would just drop. It kind of shocked me, but yet I felt like it wasn't too difficult. I just had to feel it. What else is weird is I recently met a lady online who was also an ex-Christian and also had dreams come true. She also said they weren't 100% of the time, but they were super close. And she always knew which dreams were special ones, too. We met at an ex-Christian support group and now are Facebook friends. I'm so happy to have found someone else who had the same experiences as me. Last thing, I have heard other people have done this too, but I very often have had someone call me right at the moment I was starting to think of them. Like a guy I was in love with, when we were a break from dating. I might go months without talking to him, and he wasn't on my mind too much. But when I would think about him and have a really deep feeling of the love I had for him, he'd ring my phone. It happened so many times with him, though, through the years, that I'm just starting to see as if he had bugged me somehow now that I was talking to him. Yes, twice about a specific person close to me dying. We'll call them Person A. The first time, I was too young and careless to actively take it seriously. Person A died in the first dream, and I cried and prayed and screamed in the dream for a second chance to value them more. That's when I woke up. The second time, years later, it was more indirect. Person A was in this new dream with someone who previously passed away, Person B. I was crying, and Person B was comforting me. Person A just kind of seemed to be there randomly in the background, kind of. The dream seemed more about me and Person B having a few seconds together, so I couldn't understand why Person A was there. And of course, I didn't really understand the connection until months later when Person A passed away. For those who still may not get it, Person B was comforting me because Person A would be joining them soon. That's why Person A was in the dream with us. When I was little, I dreamt of my classroom in my new class, where I've never been in, and when I got to the class, it was exactly how I dreamt it. I have had 3 of these dreams, and all 3 of them have come true. I had a dream about me meeting my spouse years before ever meeting them, and when I finally did, the dream came rushing back to me. I wish I could control the ability. I am a practicing witch. I have always attributed this power to that part of me. Came here to see if I was the only one. I've had 2 in the past year, and they were very notable, but have had them all of my life. One, I had a dream my sister had a terrible pregnancy and there were complications. I won't go into detail, but at 5 months, she unfortunately discovered the skull wasn't closing in the back and wasn't going to survive a pregnancy. I had the dream about a month before. 2. I was walking home from the gym early around 7 a.m. and had just been laid off. I had a random thought that I had noticed my girlfriend had very minimal work the past couple of months, and I had a strong feeling a layoff was coming her way. She was laid off hours later, and I knew as I heard her footsteps approaching me from behind that it had happened. As soon as I turned around, I could see tears and knew it had come true. I'm trying to tune more into it and vocalize if it's something important. My sister and mother have had this intuition as well, and it happens every once a couple of years. We had a couple of unexplained events as well. Not sure how to make sense of it, and it terrifies me, but also fascinates me. Unfortunately, countless dreams I've had have come true, especially my bad dreams come true, and I hate dreaming. Every night before going to bed, I pray to God that I won't dream again. I have had this happen more than a few times, but most experiences were more like deja vu, and it was like a very specific but seemingly pointless experience. One that was just walking up the staircase to my buddy's apartment before we went out drinking. It stopped me in my tracks. I don't remember all of them, but I do remember one from high school that I'll never forget because it was like genuine precognition, although similarly meaningless to me. The dream of me and two specific people that I knew all together at the softball fields in my hometown. I remember having the dream vividly because when I woke up, I could still recall it, and it was such a real feeling, although it didn't make any sense. The strange thing was one person was a classmate of mine, Lauren, who was notoriously loud and boisterous, and we never hung out together in our free time. The other was a friend I skated with, David, at a completely different location, frequently, but that's all we really did together, and he also did not play sports. So that was weird, and also in the dream, he had strange blue hair that he definitely did not have in real life. We were all standing near the end zone in the football field talking. I don't recall what was said, but it was a weird experience that didn't make any sense. So although I recalled it when I woke up, it wasn't difficult to disregard it as a meaningless dream. Some time later, I don't remember how long, but I was still able to remember the dream. Summer came around, and the summer softball league had started. I wasn't playing in the league, and it wasn't uncommon to go to the games out of boredom, which is what I did one day when I got there and I arrived at the far end of the football field where the entrance is, and I could see a couple of friends at the other end where the softball field began. I walked to the other end of the field to meet them, and I was approached by the group. I could see my buddy Dave, and he definitely looked different on that day. He had spontaneously decided to dye his hair blue at some point between when I saw him last and that was hitting me, and I was looking at him. I heard a shout from my right, and my loud classmate Lauren was in her summer softball league. Just came out of the dugout to talk to us because she was sitting out and bored and wanted, lo and behold, the flashback hit me like a ton of bricks. I tried telling people about it several times. People thought it sounded neat, but I don't think there was anyone really believed or cared. I was probably 16 or 17 when it happened. I'm 34 now. I don't think I'll ever forget it. It was like a definite, yeah, I know what that happened without a doubt in my mind kind of thing. I had a dream where I walked into my work office, where I was met by a man and a woman, whose faces were both kind of blurry. They were both seated. The man says, "Hey, man, this is—" No sound. 3 months later, I walked into the office and was met by my then manager and my coworker. "Hey, man, this is Amber." I had a dream that my husband was meeting his ex, and she was with another woman, and they drove down in a yellow Beetle. Found out days later, she drove down with her sister-in-law in a yellow Beetle. I went to a boarding school a year before I migrated across the globe. Still keep in touch with my classmates, but my parents and brother know next to nothing of their current whereabouts. Imagine my horror after waking up from an extremely vivid nightmare where one of my closest friends died in the school gym, to a text from the exact same friend saying she almost died of hypothermia in the school gym. For some background on what I'm about to describe below, I should note that my neighbor's house is right next door to mine, and it's almost the exact same exterior, 1960s split level, but his has arranged slightly different, floor plan wise. Our house has a lot more red theme, if that makes sense, namely the shutters, and his is more green. Years before my next door neighbor moved in, who's now one of my best buds, I would have dreams about a house that was very similar to mine but located on the left, which he lives in the house on the left. My dream never showed me the true extent of the house on the left, so I can never tell if it really looks close to that one in real life. What I did see was the interior. I kept having dreams about being in the downstairs of my house, except it wasn't. It was arranged totally different, but felt like my house, or at least in the same general vicinity. Everything was green, though. Green carpet, green walls, etc., which was strange to me because we had long repainted my green areas and ripped out the carpets almost immediately after I moved in 12 years ago. These dreams started probably when I was in high school, so that would have been several years after my family moved in and a while before the neighbors moved in around 2022. I never thought much about these dreams until I started going over next door more and more and noticed something odd about the downstairs entertainment room. There were strips of the carpet missing right from the doorway out of the hall, almost with the width of the wall as if they were used to being the one there. This one strip comes out perpendicular to the front wall by the door and then turns on an L shape. Looking back on my dreams, they all had a slightly different version of this house, where I discovered hidden rooms and stuff, but always something in common. That downstairs, which would be in the entertainment room next door, is where the dream almost always started, and it had green walls, old brown hollow core doors, almost like I'm back in the 1960s, and a closet right at the same spot I imagine it to be in real life. This was even weirder because if you compare our two houses, the same space that his entertainment room plus laundry area takes up where there was a converged garage in our house where I slept and spent most of our time. It's almost as if I've been traveling back to an older version of his house in my dreams. A few years ago, I had the most recent one where I found a little hatch under the carpet in the room. Jokingly, I asked him the other night if it happened to have a doomsday shelter under his house, and he paused for a second in total shock, then played along with the joke, which made me feel strange. I started thinking about the dream again and remember that my subconscious wouldn't let me see what was in the hatch. I woke about trying to open it. Pretty weird. I had a lot of dreams that come true. Had a lot when I was young, and some of them not come true at all. Well, that's the way most people are. I dreamt about damaging a car, scratching the front bumper. The very next day I woke up. I go in for a drive and park the car. Yep, I scratched the car in front of me. For me, personally, when this happens, I like to imagine I'm changing my destiny timeline. I'll get deja vu or see a few seconds into the future randomly. I can predict what people will say and do, but I go off course. I don't do what I did in my dream. I don't do what I'm supposed to. I branch off and create my own timeline. I've done this since I was a kid, jumping timelines, changing my destiny each time. The universe is not a linear line, and cannot tell me what to do. If this happens to you, if you can see a few seconds into the future doing deja vu, switch your timeline. Control your destiny. Well, we're going to end that video there because that's actually a pretty good way to end it, I think. So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed listening to this. And if you'd like to, leave a comment down in the bottom. Tell me about one of your dreams that have come true. That'd be cool. Or tell me something else. Engage in the algorithm kind of thing. Go check out another video if you don't mind. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye. Hello there. So if you like to color, and I do, I definitely like to color, and I have loved paper dolls since I was a wee lass. I decided to create my own color your own paper dolls. There's 5 books, there's 5 volumes, and they're all lovely and color coordinated because that's just what I like to do. I will warn you now, the formatting leaves something to be desired. It's not great. But first time out trying to do all these, I think it's not bad. Now, the thing is, with all of these, there are 5 dolls, 5 people, 5 girls on each. There's a lot of paper dolls, so you can pick and choose which ones you like, which ones you don't like, whatever. And there's different categories. There's, they all have pajamas. They all have, coats and winter wear. They all get to do a little fancy and formal. They get to do some party stuff. There's also a section in there with like careers and jobs with some suggestions of what, each outfit could be for, but, do your own thing, whatever. And there's quite a few everyday outfits. The thing is, all of these dolls are based on the same model. So if you buy more than one book, they can all fit any and all of the dolls. You can collect all 5 and use them, cut them out. If you have a a child or even an adult or a teenager in your life that likes this kind of stuff. They can color, they can create, and all of them are interchangeable. So it's pretty good value, I think, because I always love doing that. I spent most of my time um, creating my own paper dolls because there just never was enough clothes, and sometimes there was only one paper doll per thing, and she'd have to have a friend or a sister or somebody. I mean, So I combined coloring and really not so great fashion design, as this was one of my passions. But go check it out over on my Amazon page, and if you're interested in that, I'd appreciate you picking up one or two. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.